welcome back to another episode of the Grow RDH Podcast. Today we have another interview. So we are live in person. We're actually at the Bean in Vermillion, South Dakota, and we are here with Lindsay Hunter. And we had to come to the Bean. We had to come to Vermillion.
Of course.
Lindsay is a grad of USD.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
So she came down to visit and chat. And she's a representative of Swish Bio. She has over 20 years of clinical dental hygiene experience and 3.5 years of sales experience. Lindsay has been with Swish for 1 year, and she graduated from USD in 2000, and she's still local to the area. She lives in Sioux City, and she enjoys reading, traveling, and spending time with family. So we get to hear from Lindsay today, and we're going to just chat a little bit about her career. So thank you for coming on.
Yes, I'm so excited to share information about my journey to where I am now. I feel like all of my life experiences have brought me to this moment. So I'm extremely have extreme gratitude for getting this,
And passion.
Yes,
You were talking
absolutely.
earlier. She has a lot of passion for what she does. And so
Yes.
I'm excited for you guys to hear from her and hear her passion come out and what she wants to tell us. So we're going to start. We just have a few questions for her, and we're just going to kind of start in her current professional career. She works for Swish Bio, like I said. So I'm going to let her introduce us to Swish Bio, highlight some of the cool, innovative products that dental hygienists should know about that Swish offers.
Awesome. Okay, so Swish Bio, we are a salivary testing company, different than anybody else on the market. Salivary testing has been around for about 53 years, 17 years for oral saliva testing companies, but it's very underutilized. So what makes Swish Bio different is our mission of getting saliva testing into offices and offering a test to all perio risk patients. We believe that we can bridge the gap between medicine and dental, and we're trying to bring this precision medicine into dental practices and change how periodontal disease is diagnosed, identified, treated, and monitored by, again, testing those perio risk patients.
So there are some other, competitors on the market. So what makes Swish Bio's products or solutions unique, and how do they maybe stand out from other on the market?
Yes, there are some other amazing companies that have been around for quite some time. I would say what differentiates us is our partnership, our level of support. We really are trying to get this into, like I said, dental practice, but it is a partnership, and our level of support in helping offices do that, because sometimes change is hard. We know that change management is hard, and new is hard. And so we really are there throughout the entire implementation process. I am an account manager from acquisition, getting the office, up and testing and training, onboarding, helping with support. We really partner with the practice throughout the entire journey. We help deal with verbiage, how to present this to patients, how to deal with objections. But what really sets us apart is our level of clinical decision support. We have an entire team that is dedicated to partnering with clinicians, help give treatment considerations that are most impactful for bacteria that they present with. They also will provide evidence-based research. Everything is peer reviewed. We are brand agnostic, so we do not partner with any specific brands or any specific products. We're not affiliated with any. We just purely it's on the science. So that is what differentiates us, is our level of support and our level of clinical partnership as well.
Yeah, I love that. It's really interesting. She was telling me a little bit about it earlier today, and very specific, even down to the different types of bacteria, right? So if you have somebody that has high AA, there'd be specific clinical recommendations that they would help you with to make it to target specific bacteria. And I just think we don't have anything like that in office to use, right?
Right. I mean,
missing that piece.
Yeah, we shared a lot of really impactful, I believe, statistics with your students today. That AA and PG, the two most serious pathogens, are not eliminated by scaling or cleaning alone. That even no matter how great of a clinician you are, you're not able to get in those dental tubules or in your tissue. And so a combination therapy really is going to be the best, have the best outcomes for your patient. But before you're just, I would say this to patients, it's like throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks, right? And sometimes what you're offering isn't specific to that pathogen. I always give my story of I had a few high to moderate pathogens in my oral care routine wasn't specific. Swapping out a mouth rinse that's more effective against those pathogens. But we are here to help with all of that research and help build protocols for these offices. Essentially, we're giving you the ingredients and then you make the soup. We still, if there are treatment considerations, the doctors do need to do the actual diagnosing and treatment planning, but we give you all the pieces of the puzzle, kind of help you fit them together.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. So now we're going to transition a little bit more onto your professional journey, your path, how you got to where you are. And I think, like we talked about with COVID, lots of stuff happened around COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of hygienists left.
Oh, yes.
And
yeah.
So I'm just curious, what was your path into sales specifically? How did you transition from being clinician to sales specialist?
Okay, so yes, COVID, I think the way dentistry was changing was in a direction, a lot of things for the better, the treatment of perio, for example, but a lot of things were going in a direction I didn't want to work in the assembly line. I like forging relationships with my patients, and it kind of seems like it was more and more and more, and do more in the less time, and I just didn't like to practice that way. As well as just some physical, I had a repetitive injury in my right shoulder, I had a tear in my left shoulder, and just mentally, you guys, it is, I don't think people realize just how mentally and emotionally exhausting hygiene is. You're plate feeding patients all day long. You're campaigning for things. You are negotiating with them. And after a while, I just was like, I think I just need to move on to something else. So, but of course, with 20 years of experience, I did want to stay in something, dental hygiene. It's hard. Sales sometimes is a lot of windshield time. You're staring at your windshield a lot. And I have two kids, and I didn't want to be gone all the time. So then it's like looking at more remote roles, which after after COVID,
that was one of the biggest positive changes.
I would say it became like this can be done, and it is that having a remote role is becoming more common. So I ended up finding a job. It was an oral care company out of Wisconsin, and started there, and it was a leap of faith, right? I had a good friend of mine that always said you'd be great at sales. You're like this cheaper little sunshine that you can come in, but you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. Like you don't know if you're going to be good for it, or good with it. And so it was a leap of faith, and something as well to remember is, it was a pay cut. It was a significant pay cut, and so I had to make concessions at the time. I was, getting remarried and in my second marriage. And so like, do we sell two houses and buy a bigger house, or maybe I stay here and remodel so I can take this job? And that for me, I was okay with that because I needed the change. So, did that for 3.5 years. Actually was quite successful at it. I had the highest sales in 2022, selling oral care products. But I kind of mastered that, and I had sales down. I thought, there's more, right? Like this is another thing I can put on my resume, that I have this and I have hygiene, and what more can I do? And that's what led me to this company.
Yeah, that's awesome. So for dental hygienists, because I think a lot of us maybe are in that boat. Mm-hmm. From speaking to hygienists in this area specifically, one of the main pain points is that there's such a need for hygienists. I mean, the job market is insane right now, and the new grads that are getting out are getting paid significantly better than hygienists that have been working 10, 15 years. And they're finding it really difficult to negotiate pay and or even feel valued.
Right.
So I think that there's a lot of us out there that are sort of in that boat where we're trying to consider new careers. We're trying to think like, okay, outside the box, what does it look like? What does the job market look like? Or what are my opportunities outside of the clinical setting? It's hard. especially when you're in this kind of sense of, why am I here?
Right.
You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So for those dental hygienists interested in exploring alternative career paths like sales, what skills or experiences do you think are most valuable? Just even like you're still working clinically, what can you do? What are your options like to even just get you prepared to start job searching or job interviewing? What would you tell them?
So I would say just kind of see again where you're at in life. I was at a point that taking a pay cut, I could do that. Some people aren't in that because let's be honest, the pay for hygienists are like crazy good.
Yes.
But with that, it's very niche.
Yes.
Right. So if you have bachelor's now, you can teach, but it's almost like a master's now. Would you say?
Pretty much. You can teach clinical with a bachelor's.
You can.
You teach didactic in class courses with a bachelor's.
Sure. But
So
you can, but then maybe like I would have to drive 45 minutes each way for that and bad roads and stuff like that. So I mean there are pluses, so it kind of needs to see, do you want to stay in like, teaching, education? Do you want to go into sales? Do you want, like you said, product development? So also like your geography, what your areas, you're in a more urban area, you're going to have a lot more opportunities than somebody rural.
Most of our state,
right?
I mean,
exactly.
Most of us out in 50 miles away from the nearest Walmart or something.
Right, exactly. So I would say interpersonal communications, which again we have as hygienists, right? We are talking to people all the time. We're forging, like I said, those relationships. We are forging. We are making these patients trust us, helping them trust us, and so those kind of skills can get carried on into sales because we do have those types of qualities in ourselves. As you're looking, I would definitely just do research. There's ZipRecruiter. I think there's reviews on companies, like actual employees will write in. And it'll give like their work-life balance, wage. I mean, and it rates them, and then there'll be actual employees that will say what they think. So there's that. Also LinkedIn, reach out to somebody from there.
LinkedIn, you had meant, did you use LinkedIn?
Yes. LinkedIn is actually LinkedIn.
I had a hard time getting that out.
I don't know. But yeah, because that's actually where I found Swish Bio was on LinkedIn because some of these companies, so they're not inundated with resumes, they tend to want like almost like a referral or like a, know somebody type, and it kind of narrows your pool down a little bit.
Yeah.
LinkedIn is a great resource, as well as Indeed, ZipRecruiter. I mean, there's all of them. At one point when I was looking, I think I have like 5 or 6 different search engines going on. But there's that. I would say also like the biggest transition for me, honestly. Okay, I hope I don't offend anybody here, but do dentists take off a lot of time?
Yeah.
They take off a lot of time.
And then vacation is their vacation.
And then, yes. And Fridays and Christmas. I mean, I would safely say, I bet you get 70 days off a year as a hygienist.
Yeah.
Most of these people are working these other jobs. They don't understand that mentality, and it's 40 hours a week. You go from 70 to 10 days. That was the hardest transition for me. So
was the amount you felt like you were
working
more?
Yes, so you're working more and making less. But to me, it was okay because I was in a better place mentally and physically and emotionally. So it was okay. That concession was okay. But if that is the case, look at how much flexibility they have.
I was just going to say right away when you said I was okay because mentally I was in a better place. So how much of that is tied to having autonomy over your own time?
Well, it just depends. It just depends because this company I'm at now, 100% have autonomy.
Yeah.
The other company, I was micromanaged down to a minute. So I would say when you're looking that we are, in my 40s and I have to ask if I can take a 15-minute longer lunch was very hard because I'm a trustworthy person. So I think a place that you can flex your time, maybe take time off without pay, but it was very like absolutely could not take off after that 10 days. You have no, and that was a big change for me, especially having kids and running places and being a very 8:30 to 5:30 and couldn't, I mean, it was just, it was very hard for me. So if you are going to do it, I would say try to find a place that has some flexibility, that maybe even if you get paid less, you can take an afternoon off, like a floating afternoon off to do appointments or something like that, because uh, really it's like these things might get better, but not having time to do things and flexibility might worsen it. So you kind of have to weigh the pros and the cons.
Yeah.
Just things I wish I would have known, but at the time I probably would have worked at Target to get out of dental hygiene. So I'm not maybe the best person to ask.
No, that's so funny because when I left clinical and went to the school, I literally called my mom and I told her, so what had happened was our office got bought out by a more corporate office. And that corporate office was like, okay, come train/shadow with us for 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, we'll offer you your job back. Do you know what I mean?
Nice. Like they're interviewing.
Yeah. So I went down,
wowza.
and it was all assisted hygiene. It was double books, and it was very much commission based. Which again, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. There's different compensation models all over the place, and I'm not saying it's bad. But the vibe of the management was bad, and I didn't want to stay. And I told my mom. I called my mom after that 2 weeks. Because they offered me a bonus, a very big bonus, but it was a non-compete.
Oh,
you know,
nice.
But it was like big shiny, dollar bills,
the carrot hanging at the end of the stick.
To sign this, and then they're like, "Here's your job back and this nice big bonus, but we want you to sign this contract and non-compete." And I told my mom, I was like, "I would rather work at Walmart. I don't need to use my degree right now.
Yep, absolutely.
I would rather work at a place where." I don't know. I know that I have a little bit of autonomy, and I think it's just, and it doesn't need to be like you're given this big wide range of freedom to like just do whatever you want and mess around. But to me, autonomy is just having the ability to like make some decisions.
Absolutely.
Where I have control over something.
Yes.
And at that office, I had none of that.
No, so I agree.
It's just so important for our self-worth. Almost like just to have a little bit of autonomy and understand that we are in control of something.
100%
impacts us.
I think that's another reason why it's like people must be desperate. I've had several people ask me if they'll go back to hygiene, and I'm like, if I could do it my way, maybe just do scaling and reclaiming it. If someone's 15 minutes late, peace out. Like you're coming back, and not have a receptionist cram my schedule, or somebody can't make it here and you give me a lunch at 10 o'clock in the morning. And so I'm going straight through from 11 to 6. And, all of these things that I feel like as a human being, someone should ask your advice. Like, hey, do you care that I put somebody in after work? Or, these things are some of these places that don't have boundaries and they want you to convert that day, right? And it's like, well, someone else can do this. And what they offer for bonus is like, great, okay, I'll just spend that at the chiropractor or the massage therapist or like
the real therapist.
Yeah, so the real therapist, absolutely. Like, the money wasn't worth it to me. I am a much like, I work to live. I don't live to work. Life is too short, but I have what I need. I love being passionate and successful at what I do. But to me, the monetary is more my time, being appreciated. I'm so appreciated where I am now. I'm congratulated all the time on how well I do, flexibility. And to me, that is just priceless. It is priceless. And so I think to circle back around to things to look for is to, number one, do their research, but also I would say, have these things of like you said, like things that are going to be important to you that you might not know, and a company that is more flexible, that is going to be okay if you need to take some time off with your kids, and that you don't have to say you have a doctor's appointment so you can go to your kids' track meet. I mean, that's not, you know what I mean? Like that's not going to be a long-standing, self-sustaining relationship for an employment to do that. So,
and you can feel the difference. And we talked about this in ethics
Mm-hmm.
with the students as they're just getting ready to go out to their jobs. We talk about how you can tell pretty right off the bat. No job is a bad job.
No.
There's no bad job. All that bad job is teaching you is what you won't stand for or what you don't want.
Right.
And you can put your time in. A lot of the good offices take a while to get into because good offices, nobody wants to leave us.
Right.
Right?
That is another huge one to remember.
Yeah.
If you see that they are going through people all the time, that should, like, your spider sense should be changed. Like, ding, 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 ding. Yeah, there's a reason.
There's a reason.
Yes.
And like I said, if you're in need of a job, take the bad job. It's okay. Just go into it knowing that this is not.
It's maybe a stepping stone.
It's a stepping stone.
It's not your end all be all, but like with anything, maybe I did the sales job and didn't get paid hardly anything, but you know what? I would have never gotten a job here without it.
Yeah,
because they were having issues, as this is essentially an inside sales, not sales, but you're cold calling and we're building. And so I had that experience, 3.5 years of experience doing that. So had I not worked there, it wouldn't have qualified me for here. So even if it's not your end all be all, if think of it as like a stepping stone. What you do, you know, maybe you take the pay cut because the chances of you even making a lateral move might be smaller. You probably might be a pay cut, but 12, 24 months, you're going to have that experience. Shelve it. Maybe you'll pull it back out again for something else. And the more you do, you're going to have just all of these, and then this perfect job is going to come up, and you're going to have all of these boxes you can check.
Right.
And then it's going to be like, wow, my whole life, like with here, has brought me to this. Every bad job, has brought me to a place where I'm appreciated for my authentic self, and I feel like it was all worth it. So.
Because it's experience. You're just getting more experience.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
A lot of the good offices or the good sales shops are going to want you to have experience.
Absolutely.
So you're just building up that resume, building up those skills. You said like communication skills.
Right.
What are some other, so I am not in the sales arena or, I don't know, community.
Right.
Is that a good word for it?
Sure.
But like, what are some other divisions or opportunities? Like, is there, in terms of sales, is there like each company kind of has their own niche? Or what is the sales world like? I don't know anything about it.
Yes. Well, I hadn't either. And I think like with the oral care products, it was selling the oral care and you got a salary plus commission.
Because that was your first one.
That was my first.
Oral care,
like
mouth rinses.
It was more like toothbrushes, and then they did personalization.
Okay.
So it was doing that. So existing accounts and then trying to acquire new accounts. But it's relationships. And I like rocket relationships. Like I make friends everywhere. My kids make fun of me. Like I made a friend in a Las Vegas airport because I took my girls to Las Vegas, and there's only 2 seats and there's 3 of us. And this girl's husband got up. We ended up talking, and 6 months later we met in Vegas for a show. Like I and that is what it is. It's relationships, but we know why relationships is patience.
Yes.
And it's better because those people like, I like you, but I hate being here. Like, so it is relationships. It's tenacity, thicker skin, which most hygienists do because we get told we get paid us all day long.
Yeah, we get.
So that shouldn't be an issue, but sometimes it is. You're cold calling, and in these people's defense, you know, they're answering the phone, and you're like the 27th call, and they just got yelled at by the doctor, and this patient just like bit their face off, and so you call, and then they're just like, we wouldn't be interested, and it's kind of like. But I've kind of been like, maybe you should not make that decision because you don't know what the clinical. So that is where sometimes you just have to like, okay, maybe I'll call back and someone else answers.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do have to have thicker skin. It's hard.
Yeah.
It is hard, especially this is hard because it makes perfect sense to us. Right. Why would not everybody want to do this? Why would you not want to test your patient's pathogens, know what they have, be able to treat them more effectively, catch it sooner, save them money in the long run with, procedures that aren't effective, and it costs office nothing.
Right.
You bill the patient for the test. It's $90. Like, why wouldn't you want to do it? And you won't believe the no's you get in a day. So it does sometimes it's a gut punch.
Right. Do you wonder if they just get I want to say overstimulated. That's not the right word, but over bombarded with offers?
Probably.
Do you... And in terms of like, where do you see the most success do you see it like with calling or trade shows?
We haven't done any trade shows yet. So it's basically, I think honestly 100% is timing, because I could have the most perfect office that, is using all of these other screening devices. And you think, why would they? Well, this is a screening diagnostic tool. But change is hard. We've already talked about that. And so it could be timing. People are short staffed. They are short staffed. They are short in hygienists. They are short. And so they think, oh my gosh, it's as hygienists. And we know if you go to corporate and we are having you do this and this, and then they want the iTero scan, and on top of that, they want a full mouth and a pan and intraorals and full mouth probe with attachment loss, everything else, and charting. And then on top of that, let's do the full scope. And then we need to do all the phasing, and let's make the appointments on top of that. And so there's not.
But you only get 50 minutes.
But no, yes, exactly. And then that patient's bad because you rushed on them. So yes, the 50 minutes, and then let's add this on top of it, because there is a look. The test itself is super quick, but you still need to meet with decisional support. You need to get the protocol. You need to verify that with the patient. It does take time. And I think some places, in their defense, they're just like, I don't have anything left. To me, it's gonna like push me into the precipice of like the Nutter House. And so I do think it's timing, and right now doesn't mean it's not going to be a no duh in the future. It's been a year. I called, and I just keep hoping every day, or that I'm hearing more and more meetings continuing ed on saliva testing. And they're like, oh my God, this girl called and they kept my stuff, and then they took it back.
It's really becoming a hot topic. It's kind of crazy to see the trends come and go. I feel like this was a trend back in the day.
Right.
And then it really went away. You didn't hear about it forever. And then all of a sudden, I think it was 2 years ago, I went to a CE, and she was a biologic hygienist, and she was like, you guys need to get your microscopes back up. And I was like, what year is it? What is happening?
Right.
I don't know coming back. I don't know,
Somewhere.
Which is crazy, because we went through accreditation at the school, and we moved into a new clinic.
Right.
And we had all these microscopes, and they were going to toss them. They were going to get rid of them because we haven't pulled them out in years.
Yes.
And I was like, wait, I just went to a CE.
Oh my
You got to keep them.
Yes.
Keep them.
Yes. We got to,
we're doing this again.
Spray them off.
Yeah.
Well, and that is, we do talk to a lot of holistic offices. And if you think of it, I like working with holistic biological integrative offices because they want to treat the whole person.
They understand.
The mouth is the gateway to the body, and you can't refute that.
No.
Everything in our mouth ends up in our body, whether we're swallowing it, it's getting into our bloodstream, it's getting into our lungs. And so they're really at a different place, and those patients are already tuned into the mouth-body connection.
Yeah.
So that's also really nice. They're more open to it.
Those are the patients you want.
Yes.
Sometimes the students will come to class and be like, oh, this student didn't want fluoride. I'm like,
not everybody needs fluoride.
That is this patient you want.
Mm-hmm.
That patient cares.
Right. And they don't. There's people, I just don't argue with people that are anti-fluoride because, they're like, it's a poison. I'm like, well, it's a naturally occurring element. Well, whatever. I'm just like, you do you. Like,
but they're the ones that are going to be more willing to try and do all of these other things.
Because absolutely. And
it's like they're more invested.
I think they are. They are. Because, and I do have an account that I signed in Minnesota, and it was really hard for their implementation because they're like, we really need to be careful the information we give our patients because they're going to fall down a rabbit hole. And they're going to start Googling, and then they're going to have all these questions. They're like, we really have to decide what we're going to tell them because it might open up this huge stuff. But it's so many. I love all the different types of practices I have and the relationships I've already formed with customers.
And I'd much rather patients that were that invested.
Absolutely.
Anything.
Well, I tell these hygienists, I'm like, do you offer fluoride to every patient? Yes. I'm like, do you have 100% acceptance rate? No. But you gave them a choice. Mm-hmm. Give them the choice. They can tell you no. Just say, hey, that's fine, but I'm going to offer it to you in 6 months. And you never know. You send them home with that material. They could come back and be like, you know what? I think I want to do that test this time. Yeah, you planted the seed.
Especially with the systemic link to so many diseases, specific bacteria. They lay out what specific bacteria are linked to what systemic issues. Right. And so I think that would be very impactful for patients to see it's not just one leads to one or 1+1 is 2. It's like 1+2 could be
Right.
there's different ways to get to that
Right.
conclusion. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. No, not at all. And we at Swish Bio, it is a perio test. So we do focus more, like I said, we have the slide on systemic links. So, and I try to tell, the students, make sure it is not causal. Do not say it causes. Like, you have AA, you're in a heart attack. Like, better take out another insurance policy. No, but there is a link between them. So yes, why would you not want to get those things taken care of? So some offices, I've one in Wyoming actually, that she finds the patients are more invested when she gets into the systemic. Like I said, we don't touch on that a lot at our company, but that is up to the doctor. If they want to double in that more, go for it. That is up to you.
Probably for offices like you said, that do have those patients on.
Right.
That's perfect for them.
Right.
Like, those are the patients that we want to target.
I've had people that it's a family history. Like they've had a heart attack and there's a bunch of PD around them. Yes. And they have family history and it really strikes a chord. So like, oh my God, my husband had a heart attack last year and he has periodontal disease. It doesn't mean it caused the heart attack. But like I said, there is a link. Yeah. So if you think about it that way, but what I am loving, and the more I call, are people had just gone to CEs on this, and they are saying this is the way. Like, I hate to bring up like cancer, but when you want to know what kind of cancer you had, so you know what treatments would be the most effective. Exactly. How do we know as hygienists, as clinicians, what kind of perio to treat? Because we don't know the pathogens that they have. We don't know the levels they're at. Why wouldn't we want to test for it? And then have the supportive people that are clinical that helps come up and gives you the considerations, and then be able to throw like the most effective like products at it, and then be able to retest to see if it worked, and then maybe retest every year to make sure. I mean, just because I'm in my 40s, so just because my mammogram was good this time doesn't mean in a year that I'm exempt. It doesn't, unfortunately. So just catching it way before you notice it clinically.
That's great. Thank you so much. Any last pieces of wisdom or advice that you want to share? You gave us so much there.
Right.
We're already over time.
Yes, I know. Sorry, I'm a talker. You have to rein me in.
No, I appreciate
rein me in. But I would say anybody that is interested, this guy is terrorizing me, interested in learning more about Swish or your practice and how we're trying to elevate patient care, how we're trying to change dentistry. Swish's mission is to empower solo and group practices to deploy world-class periodontal treatment programs. And if you want any information on how to do that, I would love to share with you and possibly do a virtual meeting.
And all of Lindsay's information, all of her contact information will be in the description below this episode. So you can find all of her information in the description box. So go ahead and check that out if you want to get in touch.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. No, I just can't. I love what we do. I bleed purple for Swish, and would have loved this when I was practicing. Katie and I were talking about that today. It really takes the guesswork out. So yes, ma'am. Thank you also for letting me talk to you today.
I love talking about it.
Yes, I do
too.
Yes, we're nerds together.
Yeah, it's okay. So thank you for listening. We want to thank Lindsay for her time. Thank you guys for listening. Just remember, if you like this content, like, share, subscribe so you can get in on the next episode. We will see you next Friday.